Okay, girls, in our second video today, we're going to discuss mental strategies for multiplication. So we have been doing this since the beginning of the year. So we are just going to talk about different strategies here that you can use when you're being asked to do mental multiplication, not using pen and paper. The ones that I'm going to talk to today are just a few, but you can find other ones and you can find whatever works for you. It's about trying to think in a different way of how can you multiply using the properties of multiplication without having to use pen and paper. So I encourage you to try these ones in your exercises that you're going to do for today's homework. When your exercise is saying trying to use a mental strategy, try to use one of those without doing the operation by pen and paper. Okay, so the first one is we're going to talk about the distributive law of multiplication. So we have done this one before, and don't worry about these names. I just thought that it will be good to use the proper name. You don't have to memorize it. It's more about using the strategies, okay? So let's say that I'm being asked to do 8 times 13. Okay, if I have to do 8 by 13, what I can do is I can split this number. Let's think about it. I'm going to split this number. What will be easy? Like every time that I'm working with tens, that's easy. So I can split now this number by saying, okay, 13 is going to be 10 plus 13. I'm going to write it down, but the whole idea is that you do this in your head. So I'll do it in my head first, and then I'll write it down. So you can follow my thinking, but then you have a process to try to understand in case that you cannot follow me through while I'm talking. So as I said, I'm going to split 13 in 10 plus 3. That means that 8 times 10 is going to be 80, and then I have to plus 8 times 3, which is 24. So the answer is going to be 104. Okay, so what I did is I said, okay, this is the same as the 8 times 10 plus 3. Okay, and then I thought and I said, okay, I'm going to multiply this 8 by the 10, and I'm going to multiply this 8 by the 3. So what is happening here? I'm going to use 80 plus 24, and that's going to be equal to 104. As I said, this is only like a write-up of what was happening in my head. Okay, let's talk about another strategy that you can use. Commutative law. So multiplication is distributive. It's also commutative. So what does commutative talk is about? And we already talked about this when we were talking about addition. It means that I can change the order. So basically saying if I'm going to do 5 times 13 times 2, I can rearrange these numbers in whatever way I want to do it, because I'm only talking about multiplication. Be careful. We're only talking about multiplication here. We're not talking about subtraction. We're not talking about division, okay? We're talking about multiplication. So that means that I can write this down as 5 times 2 times 13, because I can think that that's easier to do. So these links with the associative law that is down here. And the associative law basically is saying that you can do the first multiplication. You can associate numbers in the best way that you can. So I know that 5 times 2 is going to be equal to 10. I'm associating those two. So I'm saying, okay, 5 times 2 is 10 times 13 is going to be 130. Okay? So basically, commutative law and associative law work together. So I'm going to do another example because that will help us to clarify. Let's say that I'm being asked to do 2 times 17 times 5. Again, immediately. So I'm just going to say it in my head first. I'm immediately think 2 times 5 is going to be 10 times 17 is going to be 170. Done. That's all you have to do. I'm going to write it down so you have the process of what I just did. I just said, okay, 17 times, and if I associate 2 times 5, that means that 17 times 10 is going to be 170. So first, I used the commutative law to change the order of these numbers, and then I just associated the multiplication that were easier for me to do. Another strategy that you can use is the area model. So let's say that I'm being asked to do, let's say that I'm being asked to do 26 times 12. So what you can do here is you create like a rectangle. Okay, and in this rectangle I'm going to do, so this is going to be my, I just need a small letter here. Okay, this is the multiplication one that I'm going to use. So in this one I'm going to say that this is 20 and this smaller one is 6. And here in this one, let's say that this one is 10 and this one is 2. Doesn't look very exact because that's 20 and 10, but it doesn't matter. It will serve my purpose. So then you just have to multiply these ones that are much easier. Why did I choose 20 and 6? Because every multiple of 10 is going to make things easier. The same here, 10 and 2, because 10 will make my life much easier. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do 6 times 10, which is 60, 6 times 2, which is 12, times 20, which is 200, and 20 times 2, which is 40, and then I'm just going to add these numbers. So you have 100 here, plus 200 is 300, plus 12, 312. So my answer is going to be 312. Okay, so that's another strategy that you can use. And every time that you're being asked to do any multiplication by 10, of multiples of 10s, you can do the following. Let's say that I'm being asked to do 900 times 6,000. Okay, imagine doing this by paper. It will take a long time. But if I recognize that what I'm doing here is basically I can count the zeros that I have involved. So I say, okay, I have here 2 zeros and I have here 3 zeros. So I can say, okay, 9 times 6 is going to be equal to 54. And then I have 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. That's my answer. So as you can see, I did it very, very quickly. Why can we do this? Basically, we can do this because 900, we know that is 9 times 10 times 10. And if we think about what is 6,000, is 6 times 10 times 10 times 10. Okay, and we know that every time that we're multiplying by 10, we're adding a 0. So how many 10s do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why I have here 5 zeros. Okay, girls, the last strategy that we're going to practice today is every time that I'm being asked to multiply by 9. So let's say that I'm being asked to multiply 25 times 9. Okay, so I'm going to do this one in my head. So I'm going to say, okay, 25 times 9, I don't know exactly how to split it, but what I can do is I say 25 times 10, okay, 250. 250, I have to take 125 because it was times 9, so it's 225, done. So what did I do? I said, okay, 25 times 10, and then I'm going to take away 125. Okay, so if I do that, I can say, okay, 250 take away 25 is going to be equal to 225. Some of you might be thinking, oh, that also works if I have to do times 8. So I can say, okay, 25 times 10 is 250. Then I have to take 25, which is 50. So I know that it's going to be 200. So it depends on the numbers that you're being asked and how your brain works. Some brain works better with some strategies. Some brains work better with other strategies. So this is about practice. Please practice this type of strategies. It's going to make your life much easier if you can do this in your head. Thanks for watching.